Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table with Setco Services. In this podcast, we delve into the world of real estate and explore what happens beyond the closing table. Join us for insightful discussions and expert interviews that will change the way you see real estate transactions. Welcome to Beyond the Closing Table. I'm George Brandon Jr., sponsored by Setco. Today I have Wes Madden, Chief Operating Officer of Scenic, Sotheby's International Realty.
Nailed it.
God, I only messed it up 4 times when Blake was on here.
That's a mouthful, I know.
Yeah. Welcome, Wes. How you doing, buddy?
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some of the more modern day stuff, but I want to hear how Wes got here because you've got a pretty intriguing background, not just to the beach, but in real estate in general. Yeah. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in rural Nebraska. I say rural because
corn-fed boy.
Corn-fed.
Yeah.
Yeah. We I might be the last generation that actually did manual agriculture labor. So
really?
Yeah.
So grew up on a farm?
Farming community. You just kind of grew up. If you wanted to make money, you walked beans to tasseled corn, threw hay bales, picked veggies. I mean, there was always something for kids to do, and didn't really realize it at the time. I mean, we were like 25 minutes outside of Omaha, so it's not like a total hick here.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know,
you're somewhat sophisticated.
A little bit. Yeah, not really. But yeah, so we had that upbringing, which I really kind of attribute a lot of like really my mindset around hard work and doing things the right way and, you know, all of it. I mean, it was all forged as a kid, and I really, you know, value that upbringing because I'm finding out now it's rare. I mean, I've struggled even providing that for my kids, and I own a farm. You know what I mean? It's like, yes, but it's just hard because today's life is very, you know what I mean? I mean, they're in sports and they got school stuff and they got friend stuff, you know, and it's really tough to kind of like, you know, and something about, it's kind of like this, when you would get a crew, you'd get on a crew to like, you know, walk beans or tassel corn or whatever, and you got paid by the row. So the farmer paid you by the row. So you would get good at running down the rows and, you know, cutting down broadleafs or something so you didn't have to spray herbicide on there. And so we would manually go through and basically cut all the weeds out. Well, you'd get to where you could like do 3 rows at a time and you're running. And are you hot? Yes. Are you sweaty? Yeah, absolutely. You're sticky. You're itchy. You know, there's bugs and stuff like that. And no one wants that guy on the crew that's a complainer. So it's just like, you just didn't complain. I just grew up just having that base, I guess, if you will, of, you know, no one wants to be around people who complain all the time, just positive, enthusiastic attitude and embracing the suck, if you will, which kind of later when I got in the military, definitely helped. Yeah.
Well, you probably, your point of like raising your own kids is struggle with the same thing. Environment, you didn't know any different. That was your environment, right? And you were just expected, if you wanted to make a little change or do something extra, you had to go work.
We also came to the conclusion that if you showed up on time and put in a good day's work, the local farmers would like kind of vouch for you. So they'd go like, those Madden boys are good boys.
Yeah.
And we weren't always good boys, quite honestly. You know, we had fun just like any kid growing up in that type of environment. But if you did slip up, which all kids do, we were yes ma'am, no sir kids. We were respectful and we did what we were asked to do. And again, it's just the product of the environment that I grew up in. I mean, really served us well later in life.
Did y'all have a farm?
We lived on 40 acres.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'd have, you know, beans and corn every other year and hay. We'd cut hay.
But not as much as like where you're going to work, bigger farms. Okay. No, cool. So how many siblings?
Got one brother.
Okay.
Little brother.
All right. Yeah. All right. So middle school.
Yeah, we ended up, you know, we were athletes, obviously. Yep. You know, back in the day, you could be a 4-sport athlete. Wrestling was kind of my jam. Wrestling, football, you know, really. But
what is it about Nebraska and Iowa producing stud wrestlers?
I think they're, again, you're like farm strong and you got strong work ethic, and wrestling's one of those sports. It's all about what you do and no one's watching, and just embracing that grind. And I think farm kids typically kind of embrace that. Plus the winters are really long in Nebraska. I mean, I'm 5'10". That's standing, that's with, big sole shoes. So I have no business playing basketball. So wrestling was it, you know what I mean? And being 140 pound, cornerback, wrestling was definitely the way where I could go, kind of thrive. You know what I mean?
Compete.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
So wrestled in high school?
Wrestled in high school. Yep. Always, multi-state placer, was a, state runner up. Got close. I was, I don't know, preseason ranked. I should have been. I mean, I was going to be a state champ my senior year. I mean, I just had grand aspirations of wrestling in college, and beyond that, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. That was just totally focused on that. I was going to go to Nebraska and wrestle, and then I broke my femur in between my junior and senior year of high school.
Ouch. How'd you do that?
That motocross.
Okay.
Another sport.
All right. That's why they have contracts for like NFL players not to ride motorcycles, but go ahead.
That's why.
Yeah.
That's why. Come to find out.
Broke your femur. Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of changed the trajectory of my life at 17 years old, because now I had to come up with a plan on what I wanted to do. And that's when, my school counselor was a Marine.
Okay.
You say a Marine because you're never an ex-Marine.
Yeah, you're a Marine
forever. And so he was really big.
No, I'm not a retired Marine. I'm a Marine.
I'm a Marine. Got to make sure I get that right. Yeah. So I looked at the service academies. I did get scholarships to like West Point for wrestling and stuff like that. But I ended up taking an ROTC scholarship.
Okay.
So
you didn't want to wrestle at that point? Did you wrestle your senior year at all?
I did wrestle my senior year. I was still kind of in that rehab mode. Come to find out, it takes a long time to recover your thigh and hip. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't 100% until probably 5 years after the accident, quite honestly. Yeah. It took forever. It was a bad break.
Okay.
Had a bunch of complications, had to get my IT band cut, and actually at 17 years old, I had open muscle tissue on the side of my hip. I had to drain 3 times a day, dump hydrogen peroxide on it, tear the bandages off, put new bandages on. It was very...
I'm cringing thinking about that shit.
I'm just giving you context on why Wes is who he is. Yeah. And then it all makes sense, you know what I mean? So...
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so you didn't want to wrestle?
No.
Or just didn't maybe have the drive for it or confidence?
No, I did. I wasn't ready to be done with it, so I did wrestle at Arizona State my freshman year.
Okay.
And, wrestled in a couple tournaments and did okay, but I just kind of came to the conclusion, I knew that if I didn't have the ability to be a national champion, it was time to hang up the cleats, and so we did. And about that time, Nebraska was rolling, and here I am down in the desert where the Sun Devil fans don't know when to cheer or what to cheer. You know what I mean? I'm watching this team, and I was like, I kind of miss.
You're talking about Nebraska football.
Yeah, that's when I went back to Nebraska. Yeah, so I transferred back to Nebraska. Yeah. Best decision I ever made, because that's when we were actually good in football. And if you do, I tell my kids, if you have the ability to go to a school that's got a good football program, it just makes it all that much more fun.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so we did.
It's a college experience.
Yep. So the Army paid for me to go to Nebraska and ended up graduating there. Got commissioned as a second lieutenant. Fortunately, met my lovely wife, Laura, who is a gymnast at Nebraska.
Yeah. Way better looking than you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She actually just
same boat. I could say that.
She just told me an old man stopped her in the supermarket today and said, "You're a pretty young lady."
Okay. Made her day. I love it.
I know. Thank you. I said, "Well, I think you're a pretty young lady too."
Exactly. All right. So did y'all get married in college?
Nope. We actually did the Army thing. I just said, "Listen, I don't know where this is going to go, but would you like to do it with me?" And we went to actually Fort Rucker.
Okay.
That's how I found out about the Destin area.
All right.
So flight school. I was a aeromedical evacuation pilot, which just means I was a glorified ambulance driver. So
it is one that flies.
One that flies, yeah. And when I got in when I was doing the military thing, I'm like, I just want to do something where I'm driving something big, flying something, or blowing something up. You know what I mean? I don't want to be pushing a pencil my entire time.
This typical 19-year-old.
Yeah. So let's just go right for being a medevac pilot. And that was a total fit. Never would have. And this is kind of where adversity that comes up in your life, sometimes it's like, okay, what can I learn from this? Where do I go from here? And had I not broke my femur and crushed my wrestling goals, I never would have gotten into the military or been able to, really help as many people as I was able to help with the helicopter, which was really great. The flight school part wasn't great. The best thing about flight school was I could drive, an hour and a half south and be here on the beach.
What was wrong with flight school?
It was like 80-hour weeks where you're just getting beat up. You got ground school where it's just they're basically teaching you how to fly. I mean, you're literally wiggling sticks after a week of ground school. I mean, you're out there right away. So It's a lot of information.
Wiggling sticks, is that a helicopter term?
It's a technical term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just making sure.
I don't want to. It really is.
Okay.
At the end of the day, be good at wiggling the sticks.
Stick wiggling going on up there, Rucker.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was cool.
So you didn't like the flight school itself. You had to do boot camp, right?
Yeah, you kind of do we call it advanced camp for
because you're at officers.
Yep.
But so you didn't have to do your standard Army. You're an Army, right?
Army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they send you out of Fort Lewis, Washington. Now Joint Base. I don't even know what it's called anymore. I've been out so long. But anyways, you go to Fort Lewis, and you've got your entire summer. You go to what's called advanced camp, which is like basic training for officers.
Okay.
And, it's primarily infantry tactics, same thing, you're getting graded and everything. And here I was this fraternity guy who was, my professor of military science was like, listen, Madden, you're not going to, if you don't, I would show up for everything, right? I might be rolling in after a party, for Monday morning, PT or Friday morning.
You may not
PT.
look your best. Is that what you're saying?
I look my best, but I was like, you watch. And so went to advanced camp and smoked it, came back, ended up becoming the battalion commander for the Big Red Battalion at Nebraska. Which at the time, it was just kind of one of those, hey, I can do this, if I put my.
What is that? What is the battalion commander? What's the Big Red?
Yeah, so the students have, once you become senior, the professor of military science will pick like somebody to be, there's a chain of command for the cadet corps.
Okay.
So we had about 400 kids in the corps. I was the battalion commander. And I did that because I did really well at advanced camp. And you have some other measurables like your PT score and military knowledge and stuff like that.
So it's kind of a compliment honor type
big
thing.
time. Yeah, big time.
Respect.
I mean, it's great. I mean, I go back every time I go back for a game, I stop in there and try to see if, there's some folks that are still there from when I, 25 years ago when I was there, which is crazy. But I go in and see, say hi. And, we've got, that's all memorialized on plaques. It was
That's
neat.
cool.
Yeah. And,
so what, you did your basic or whatever.
Yep.
At what point did you decide you wanted to fly?
That was
and fly helicopters.
So when you get your senior year, when you're getting ready to get commissioned, you put in a request for what you want to do, and you got to put your top, typically your top three.
Okay.
It's all weighted, and I had put in actually had a instructor that he was an Army Ranger, and he came up to me, he's like, "Madden, what are you going to do?" And I'm like, "All right, infantry, probably do, I want to be an Army Ranger just like you." And he's like, "No, you don't." He's like, I have no transferable skills to civilian life. Here I am. I'm 13 years in. I'm looking at what's next. And I don't, it's like employers aren't looking for someone that could set up a near side ambush in less than two seconds.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, good point. I said, well, what do you think I should do? He goes, you need to go medical service corps and then apply for a flying position, become a medevac pilot. So it's kind of a weird way to get in. Because you only take like 25 twice a year. They really don't take a lot of medevac guys. But once you're a medevac guy, you can fly up until you're a major, which is hard to do. In fact, you get with a medevac unit, and I could fly. I had 2,000 hours when I got out of the military. That's that's kind of unheard of for a captain. But that's because of the mission, and it ended up being the best decision. That again.
So you get as going that route, you just get a lot more flight time.
Yeah,
because there's so few of you, I guess.
Yeah, a few of us, and it's kind of just the way that career path worked. In that the medevac commands were. It was a major unit. You had to be like the rank of major. The typical Army aviation captains were commanders. So you just stay in the cockpit longer because of the mission requirement. Quite honestly, you got to think an air assault unit. You're playing follow the leader, right? Yep. You could have 12 ships, and I maybe chalk 3 or 4. I'm just following the guy in front of me, right? And but there's a one flight lead. Well, in medevac, each pilot in command. they are the flight lead. It's only you.
It's you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you get to combat, you become what's called the air mission commander, which is the highest ranking medevac pilot, like controls all the airspace. So that's indirect, ground forces. I can kind of, you gotta be good.
Okay.
But the mission was awesome. I ended up but I put in for Laura and I were sitting there at Fort Rucker, and this was when we actually left Labor Day weekend. I guess tomorrow's our anniversary because we got married on a 4-day weekend. It was the only 4-day weekend we had. We went back to Austin, Texas, her home, got married, went back to Rucker, and then that's when I put in for my duty station. So I got Korea, Germany, Alaska, and as soon as the guy said Alaska, I said, I'll take it because that's like the best flying in the world, So we took the Alaska.
You knew that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Why is it? I mean, just scenery or?
Yeah, and it had a real world mission. So Alaska, the unit that I went to at Fort Wainwright, which is in Fairbanks, they have the last what's called MAST mission, which was it was a Congress authorized the use of Army aviation units for civilian pickups when a civilian provider didn't exist. So if you're in a remote area and someone gets hurt, it could be a car accident. It could be, I call 911 and there's no one around.
I see. Yeah.
So you'd have these like trained crews. I mean, we're sitting around going like, oh, we're just going to train. Well, my medics would get, for lack of a better term, the air crews got practice, really helping people. But in Alaska, it was like a 400 nautical mile circle around Fairbanks. So, we were doing rescues all over.
Yeah.
And it just made us that much better.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so, and the way the military works is, when you're in peacetime, it's really kind of boring because you're just always, you're just training.
Yeah.
You're playing basically. For us, we're like, hey, we got a real world mission. So every day we pulled 24-hour first up duty. We had an aircraft ready to go. And if you're in the state of Alaska and you got hurt, sick, injured, lost, and you had some means of communicating with somebody, dialing 911 or whatever, they would route the mission to us up at Fort Wainwright and we would launch to come pick you up.
Huh.
We did about 200 a year.
Really?
Great.
Okay. So it was good exposure for you, right?
Oh, it was great. By the time we went to Afghanistan, we were like, oh yeah, we've been doing this we were so well trained because it's real, Well,
there is a fact. I don't think anybody's shooting at you in Alaska.
No. Well, there were some villages that were a little hairy. Yeah. Not necessarily
maybe not. I stand corrected.
Yeah. It was
spicy up there.
There were a couple areas that got a little spicy, but it was really great, man. We got to, we had rescues, published in Outdoor Life, Reader's Digest. There's actually one of my missions was on I Shouldn't Be Alive. Did you ever remember that? That was on like Discovery Channel.
No, but that'd be anything. I can gather from the title that might have been challenging.
Pick some guys up from a rafting accident way up at Gates of the Arctic National Forest, which if you looked, it's like literally in the middle of nowhere, but it's really beautiful. But it's dangerous. Alaska's dangerous. So
you went and saved the rafters?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Went and picked them up.
So you had you as a pilot, you have a co-pilot?
Co-pilot, and then
a crew.
Yep. And then we got a medic and a crew chief that sits in the back.
Okay.
And the crew chiefs, we would get trained to be EMT3 certified, which is similar to like paramedic in the lower 48. They just called it EMT3 in Alaska. And so they would actually assist the medic, with treating patients in the back of the bird. And like I said, we got a lot of practice. We did a lot of high altitude stuff. So when we got the mission to go to Afghanistan, we were just uniquely prepared for that mission.
So your whole unit went?
Whole unit.
And what year was this?
It spanned from 2004 to 2005. It was a 2-year mission. It was a joint task force. So we did that with our sister unit in Hawaii. And then we had another unit from Germany. And then all told, we put all that together and it made up a 15-ship medevac unit centered in Bagram that covered the entire theater. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So did any of the other guys have as much experience as you and your guys?
The Alaska guys were definitely the most experienced, So they were, there's guys alive today that I will tell you that we were the only pilots. We were the only crews. And that's the thing. It's not always the pilots. It's the crew that, we like to say exceeding the limitation of any of our crew members is exceeding the limitation of the aircraft. So crew coordination, making sure that the guys in the back are comfortable with whatever it is whatever decision we're making to do. So, it may be doing a pinnacle landing on top of a ridge or something and just say like, hey, so I would talk to the crew and say like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a wind circle. I'm going to come in. The aircraft doesn't have the power to land, but I think we got enough winds. We're going to be able to, this is my plan. Is everyone comfortable? And if I got someone that says, hey, sir, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm going to go, okay, we'll abort, but we had been doing it enough and we trained enough and we had enough real world experience that, we were able to get into some places that I don't think, your average pilot, that's just school trained would have been able to do.
Gotcha. And you were flying a what?
It was a UH-60 Blackhawk.
Okay.
Yep.
So big difference other than the obvious between Alaska and Afghanistan. And your mission.
Yeah.
What would be some of those differences that you remember?
Well, people trying to kill you,
Okay.
certainly, which
You shot at a bunch?
Yeah. Almost got my first week in Salerno got blown up from, a rocket attack.
Okay.
So Salerno Forward Operating Base was about 5 kilometers from the Pakistan border. And I mean, at the time, it was a base that's sitting there. It's got HESCO walls are these like mesh, giant blocks about twice as big as this table, just filled with dirt basically. And that lines the, forward operating base. And then we were sleeping in tents. So, and when I get there, my first day there, I meet up with the S3. We had a Marine Reserve unit that was in command of, Salerno there. So we would fall under them. But they came and gave me the brief. They go, hey, we need to discuss the scatter plan. I'm like, what's this? And I remember reading about a scatter plan in the books. Basically, you take the base and you divide it into cardinal directions, northeast, west, south, and then you had a sector. So if the base gets rocketed, you have to launch the aircraft and get it out of the way because what they're trying to do is blow up our helicopters. So if you disperse the aircraft, there's nothing to blow up, right?
Got it.
Sounds great in concept. Well, that first night we started getting rocketed and, I could tell by the, enthusiasm of the crew that this was pretty serious and we did what we're told. So we rushed to the helicopter and, as rockets are coming in, there was a lot of them. We had
these like mortars?
No, they're 103 millimeter rockets, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. The enemy would set them up and then they would like time the launch, like they would use cell phones and stuff because we had counter battery. We had 155 millimeter howitzers that would fire back on the point of origin.
Okay.
So as they're coming in, they triangulate where they think the launch site is and they're firing back.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of loud bangs going on.
Yeah. Sounds like
very confusing.
Yeah.
We get to the helicopter and obviously we got it all ready to go and we're really fast at getting up and off the ground. And, right as I'm getting in and suiting up, a rocket hits, maybe like 15 feet behind the helicopter. And obviously, the concussion,
jolts you a little bit.
Yep. And that's when my crew chief was like, let's get this, off the ground now. And I'm like, clear up left and right. We're gone. And we launched right into an extreme high risk weather condition. It was basically a brownout. We had really bad storms. Didn't really think about. I couldn't get like more than 50 feet off the ground.
Really?
So we just went out and then we just have to loiter. We had to wait while Salerno gets blown up. All these other helicopters take off and they're all over. So you have all these blind.
Sound like you're flying in a storm. Sound like a cluster.
And you're talking on the radios, make sure you don't run into anybody. And then, finally after 2 hours of hanging out, we're able to come back in and land. And
so you're just kind of hovering at 50 feet?
Yeah, you go out and do what's called a ROS. So it's just a slow circle, slow turn, just trying to, make sure you maintain.
You literally just wait till the missile stop and you come set it back down.
That's it. Once you get the all clear, we come back in.
Okay.
And that was my first night in Salerno. So
Okay.
I'm like, okay, this is going to be pretty squirrely.
Yeah.
But we had over 2,000 missions in 2 years. And
were you there the entire time?
I was there for 8 months.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it.
And then we'd rotate crews out.
So you did one tour?
Yep.
Okay. So did those helicopters, they have weapons?
We had iron sight M4s. This is ultimately why. Great question. This is why we got out. This is why I got out.
I just think of Black Hawk Down. Like I just want to shoot the minigun. But
it's very funny you say that. We had one mission, and the whole time I'm going like, so you have a helmet. Anybody that knows firearms, you have a flight helmet. You got goggles. Most of your missions are with goggles. You got a 40-degree field of view. Yeah. Well, when you're getting it shot at, you have to be able to return fire, and we don't have, an iron sight M4 just doesn't get it done. So had to get like.
Hold on, back up. I'm sorry. I got what you're saying. Iron sight M4. Who's just the crew chief was back there with an M4?
Yep,
okay,
that's it.
Okay, let's make sure. Like,
I had one laying here with an M9, and like we go down, we got to defend our.
I got that.
Was it, man. So we had one mission. 2 ship missions.
It's not what we see in the movies, Abby.
No. Okay. No, the real story is all the fighting happens in the summer. And in the summer, it's hot and we're up at altitude, so the aircraft doesn't perform as well. But here we are, we're what we call slick 60s. So we don't have all the extra stuff on our birds. It's literally just for medical transport. But we could get into landing zones that like Task Force 160th, great pilots, best pilots and helicopter pilots in the world, but their birds were like 24,000 pounds sitting there. We're 16,000 pounds here.
Oh shit!
I can get in.
Okay.
So we're going in these hot LZs over and over and over every night, and I'm looking at the threat assessment. And then once we started figuring out, they're like, "Hey, they're just trying to kill us," because they know the enemy knows they're smart. They know if they can hurt some people in a convoy, that these guys are going to call a 9-line medevac request. And then we're going to be coming in fat, dumb, and happy about 30 minutes later. And that's when we were flying into ambushes over and over and over.
Dumb and happy. Okay. I mean, I've never heard it described like that, but sure. All right.
It's a technical term, another military technical term. Okay. Right up there with wiggling sticks.
Yeah. Sounds like so you come in there and save people's lives and get shot up.
Yeah. It just
return fire with your World War, Vietnam era M4.
Yeah, it was really ridiculous, man. I did all the paperwork. It's kind of like, so you're like, all right, I'm going to follow the system first. I did all the paperwork, tried to get some PAC-4 sighting systems on the forward rail of the M4, which is just an IR laser. We can see, the enemy can't, because we can see it under goggles.
Yeah.
And I got denied. So I did, so once that route, and this is where I learned sales, it was like, once that route didn't work, it's like, okay, how else can we get these? And I was like, I know, we got, I went back to the hangar. I'm like, hey, all that contraband booze that you guys have, give me a box full. And I went over to the Ranger compound and I was like, hey, can I get some of these PAC-4s? And they're like, oh yeah, those things are garbage. Here you go. And I trade them booze for some PAC-4s. So we were able to do it. So,
right. So the barter system still works.
Right. Barter system works extremely well especially in wartime.
Okay.
Mostly in wartime. So you do what you need to do, but I'm like, why am I having to think about this? So anyways, fast forward, we had a mission, 2 birds. There were like 6-8 casualties. I can't remember exactly, but, on one of the birds, we pick up an ODA guy, which is, Delta Force operators, which are there. And this guy's got 3 bullet holes in him and he's delirious and he's in there and he grabs our crew chief and he goes, where are your miniguns? And he's like, we don't have any. And he holds up his iron sight M4 and this guy just starts yelling, you guys got big BALLS. Can I say that on here?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
You guys got big balls. Okay. He's like, you guys got big effing balls, man. And he's yelling this the whole ride home to Bagram, where the combat support hospital is that we're taking this dude to. And all he just keeps saying, you guys got big balls, man. I can't believe you guys got big balls. So we came back and we're like, oh, let's make a t-shirt out of it. So that became our moniker. We got big, unarmed and unafraid. We got big balls. And that was Task Force Desktop 04, 05.
I love it.
Yeah, but we wrote a letter to the Vice Chief Staff of the Army.
Okay.
Who was General Dick Cody at the time. He was a warfighter, aviator. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to understand what we're up against here. We got to change our tactics here, man. And, didn't hear anything back. I get back to Fort Wainwright. He comes to the hangar and he puts us together and gives one of those general speeches, tip of the spear, great job. And said, got your letter. Changes like this take a long time to make. And I turned to my CW4 and I'm like, I'm out of the Army. I felt like I was fighting something that, it was a bad culture.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense what we were doing. And I'm just like, I just wanted to do what's right for my, because when you go downrange, you meet with all the spouses and they're entrusting me to make sure our crews are prepared, that we're going to make great decisions. And when some of those decisions are outside of your control, it just wasn't something I wanted to live with the rest of my life. And so I was like, I think I'm done. I'm going to hang them up. And that's when I got out.
Was the logic the weight,
Nope.
or I mean,
there's not a whole lot of logic when it comes to some of these things. It was political. It was, they would say things like, oh, well, the Geneva Convention, your guys' mission profile is medical transport. And like, for instance, the Air Force has the same, they call it combat search and rescue. They got miniguns, they got FLIR, they've got external range fuel systems, they got all these like pretty things on the, but it's very siloed. And I just knew, like, being in this bad culture environment where it didn't seem like our air crews really weren't their safety wasn't part of the decision-making process. That's when I knew. I said, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get into business. I'm going to create a culture that is never like that. And that's where that comes from, so just being nimble and being able to define a culture that benefits my people, not my next promotion or the job I'm getting after that, which is how I felt.
Yeah.
So that was my disagreement with the military.
So when did you roll out?
I got out in 2006.
Okay.
Yep.
So were you back in Fairbanks by then?
Still in Fairbanks. So I submitted the paperwork. I got my hip replaced. So I took a medical retirement.
How old were you when you got your hip replaced?
That's a great question. You're going to make me do math.
Yeah, it's kind of an old man surgery. This is intriguing.
Yeah.
You couldn't have been like 30.
Yeah, it's been 20 years now.
Okay, all right.
A little over 20 years.
So you're pretty young.
Pretty young.
I mean, I know why you got it because of
it
the
worked
injury.
great. That's my good hip now. I mean, I could say a lot about the Army. They did fix me, and I did get I felt was a great surgeon that did a great job for me. But we did go outside of the military service. So they actually sent me to the Joint Replacement Institute in Los Angeles, and I had one of the pioneers of replacement of like joint replacement surgery. So they took care of me. So I got nothing bad to say about the military, but it was a way for me to get out. And Abby and I were talking before we got on, if you could punch out with 30% service connected disability, which replacing a hip gave me that. My family also got medical care. So we have TRICARE now for the rest of my life. And the kids are on that until they turn, I don't know, 18 or 25. I can't remember what it is, but that allowed me to really kind of step out and say, let's get into business. Cause I knew I had that taken care of. Now I can go build something. I just didn't know it was going to be real estate. I just, like so many people, you just kind of happen into real estate.
Well, let's go there. So you're sitting, you got a new hip.
Yep.
You're in Alaska, freezing your nuts off.
Yeah.
You've got big balls, as you've told on the t-shirt.
It helps.
So when did you get into real estate?
I ended up I didn't know what to do. So I worked for a real estate investor in college.
Okay.
All right. This guy was flipping homes before it was an HGTV show. He would go to auctions. He'd buy like, tax foreclosures.
Mm-hmm.
And I just applied for a job. It said handyman needed, must have a pickup truck. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm pretty handy and I got a pickup truck. So I just called this guy. He's like, can you do construction? I'm like, yeah, I can fix stuff. Grew up on the farm, man. We did everything ourselves. My dad would not hire anybody for anything. So I could kind of like do a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so he'd send me out to these properties and he'd say, hey, what do you think needs to happen here? And I go, oh, well, we need to paint it. We need to remodel the kitchen. Maybe we need to pour some concrete out front, whatever. I could do all that. And he gave me the flexibility to kind of determine my time, build my crew. And I would just kind of quote out, I'd give him an estimate on what we need to do. And then he would flip it and sell it. And he made pretty good money.
Yeah.
And so I worked for him throughout college. And he kind of talked to me a little bit about what he was doing. And it was exciting enough that I go, you know what, I want to be like Keith Overbeck. And so I got my real estate license. I actually went to classes and got my license while I was still a green suiter. And I'm active duty and I'm sitting there and all of a sudden people are like, hey, man, you got your real estate license? Like, yeah. And they start telling me stories about, here's what my agent's doing. And I'm listening and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. I mean, the bar was set really low. It just felt like these agents really weren't helping. Again, it goes back. I'm such a sucker. It was back to helping people. And I just felt like
not a bad thing.
I know. But this is how I ended up getting kind of going down. I just felt like there was a need. And I just told Laura, like, hey, if I just do a good job, we're probably onto something here. It just seems like
a sucker or an entrepreneurial opportunity.
It was a total blessing. So we ended up getting to that and blew it up, formed Madden Real Estate, and we were number one in the state for almost a decade. And it was awesome.
Did your wife, did Laura participate in that? We know that
she was the real boss. No, she,
it's CFO. Like my household, but like actually, not your household. Did she actually, y'all work together?
I wouldn't say work together. She, we had the kids. We got 3 boys, and when they were young, it was pretty tough. And in Alaska, you're inside a lot in the winter, and so we tag teamed. She helped with the boys, did help with the like I said, she was more like our controller, accountant, CFO for the company. And we just started building a company, and we really kind of built a company with our own ethos based on the terrible culture experience I had in the military. And we're like, hey, we're just going to be totally different.
So why do you think the customer service level was so poor, if you will, in Fairbanks? Or was Alaska in general? Because you had a couple places. Yeah,
we were in a couple places ultimately, but it was kind of like the good old boys club.
Okay.
You had 350 agents basically serving 45,000 within Fairbanks proper, 90,000 outside of that. So it was a cash cow. They didn't really have to do anything. Like, you're going to call them
ticket
anyways.
Takers. Yeah, I got you.
So I was like, well, let's design a system, number one, where our agents are highly leveraged. So quickly figured out really what we're doing is because, as you probably know, you've had other agents on here and stuff. When you get your real estate license, it's like you got to go to your broker and they need to teach you actually how to sell real estate. I mean, you get your license and like, okay, I don't know how to fill out a contract. I don't know how to have a conversation with somebody. I have no idea what I'm doing. So it puts a lot of onus on
you can pass a test.
That's
pretty
right.
much.
That's it. It does not mean you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So,
well aware.
In my looking around, there wasn't really a company that provided any sort of training. There wasn't any sort of there wasn't any value. So we're like, well, let's just create a better company that would be that place. Right. So
this is 07.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So 08. Yeah. Because you have to do 2 years.
Even a better year.
Yeah. So you have to.
What do you mean you have to do 2 years?
Well, you got to be an agent. You have to hang your license with a brokerage for at least 2 years before you get your broker license.
Is that in Alaska? That's not the same
thing here.
Is it the same here?
Yep,
okay.
Yep. Huh. It's pretty common across most states. Yeah. But, so same thing. I actually got asked to leave because we were selling too much real estate.
What?
Yeah, I know.
You serious?
It just kind of was.
Stop making all that money, Wes.
I know. I thought that's how it worked, but, that's a whole nother story. But anyways, it was a blessing. We're like, you know what? Okay. So we started Madden Real Estate, and we had very clear core values and a very clear mission and vision statement. And I had 8 people that raised their hand and said, "Yeah, man, let's be a part of this." And we created something really special. And in Alaska, I'll explain why all this is relevant. But in Alaska, it's a turnstile, man. It's a deployment. Whether you're military, oil and gas, or mining, they're typically short tours. They're like 3-year tours. So I would get these
I got you.
great people to join my firm, but only a handful of the people in my firm are like locals that live there. Everything's a deployment. So I'm sitting there watching talent go out of the company. I mean, I would lose 30 to 40% of my workforce every year. And so you have to be really good at A, identifying talent, B, acquiring talent, and then C, retaining that talent. We had to be really, really good at being able to find people that would probably be fits for real estate, train them very fast, get them to where they're having success early, because we all know you got to get some money going,
Mm-hmm.
It's commission-based sales, so how can I tee them up to where they could be successful right off the bat? That's what we created with the model.
Okay.
And,
so y'all started it though in 08.
Yeah.
It wasn't exactly, the real estate market wasn't exactly on fire. How was it up there?
Well, not good. I mean, it was not, but I mean, like, Alaska's got its own challenges. Like, I tell people, like, 08 was a blip on the radar for us. We had, when 90% of the revenue for the state comes from oil production tax, let me tell you, the price of a barrel of oil has more impact on the state than mortgage-backed securities markets falling through.
Okay.
So the mortgage crisis, it was kind of a bummer. I mean, we had to get really good at distressed property sales,
mm-hmm.
Coming out of the gate, which was fine. We just adapted, but we you just adapt to what's going on and how can we help people now? Well, you get really good at short sales and
did you become a short sale expert?
Did. Yep.
Okay.
We sure did. And, get really good at those, and we're able to help people. It wasn't fun, but they're transactions, and we're able to, keep people employed. And then we had 3 times we had what's called BRAC. Their base realignment and closure commissions. So the military, some pencil pusher and the Pentagon decides, what we'll do? We'll just mothball this base, and we'll save some money on the Department of Defense P&L or something. And we had 3 of those. So you got to think, like North Pole, Alaska was one of the locations we had literally right across from Santa's house. I'm not joking.
Okay. Like, we have a base across from Santa's house.
Eielson Air Force Base.
Okay.
So
I did not know this. Learning something new today, Abby.
Yep. First 2 F-35 squadrons from Eglin Air Force Base went right there.
Okay.
Eielson Air Force Base. And the reason for that is we would get probed by Russian and Chinese bombers like all the time. We were doing bomber intercepts all the time. Not a lot of people know that. I'm like, hey, this is like a weekly occurrence.
Okay.
So that's where the F-35s went, because we needed to have a 5th generation fighter force up there to be able to defend that Alaska, northern part of the continental United States, quite honestly. So imagine this base, and 60% of all the locals are either active duty or employed by that base, and they just come in and say, hey, I think we're just going to shut this thing down. And I'm like, this can't happen. And so being ex-military, just started standing up and saying, this is wrong, and speaking out, because I'm not, I'm retired now, so I can speak my mind. And they had some big, ended up working closely with Senator Dan Sullivan and Lisa Murkowski.
Yep.
And actually provided the local market. This is what I tell my agents, like, be the trusted source for what's happening in the marketplace, so that when a senator needs market stats, they come to you. So if you actually look in the BRAC, I'm quoted in there and have my stats in there, even though we've got a board of realtors and everything, but they came to me and we worked with that. So that was a huge honor, just because, we had really focused on stats and knowing the market and really understanding the impact that this would have, not only on the local community, but the number one asset of the military, I believe, which is the people.
Yeah.
And I called the generals out for that. I was like, you guys come in here and you're not paying attention to the one asset. Your asset is not planes and trucks, and it's the people. It's the families that are here.
Yeah.
And, they would say,
so you service that area from your firm? Okay.
Yep.
So did you get it stopped?
We got it stopped, all 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
It was a big deal, but we had to lobby really hard, and we had to just, you got to be vocal. And that's how, and standing up for the people that maybe can't stand up for themselves. I'll take that fight on. No problem. So it was very worthwhile. Was
there any factor, just wondering, since the F-35s that were there to protect us from the bombers, was that a factor at all?
No, I just think, their logic was flawed. It was at a time where, it was during the Obama administration where they were trying to retract the DOD, but they were trying to find cost-cutting measures, right? So there were multiple BRACs going on across the country, and a lot of bases got shut down during that time. That's just not that's not really a place that they want to cut, because strategically it's very important for the future of this country, quite honestly. I tell people the time that I spent there was so valuable, because I did sit on the Fairbanks Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors seat. I served for like 3 years there, and we are a steering committee for a lot of political decisions. So we'd get briefed by oil and gas execs. Some of their lobbyists would be there. There'd be certain bills, state bills, that would come down or whatever, and we'd have to weigh in on one side or the other, whether or not, we just had to make the call whether or not it benefited the residents of Fairbanks. So it got me to have to learn oil and gas. Well, what we found out was, the state of Alaska. So when we bought the state of Alaska in the 1940s, the federal government put a patent on the subsurface mineral rights. So anything that's mining related, any petroleum that comes out of the ground, you got to pay, number one, the federal government has to allow you to be able to do that. Number two, you got to pay tax, not only to the federal government, but you got to pay to the state. So they're just getting hit left and right. But the reality is we're sitting on we've got petroleum reserves up there that would make 10 times what the Middle East has. We just can't get access to it.
Because of our own government.
Yeah. Yeah. So whichever way the wind's blowing in Washington, we could be complete. I tell people, I'm like, listen, I've seen the maps. I've dove into this and I'm telling you, we could have the wealth of the Saudis and be driving around Lambos like they do in Qatar and not have any poverty, no
cars.
Homeless. It's like we have everything. It is what it is. We're a petroleum world right now, and there's absolutely no reason for us to buy foreign oil, period. We should be the world's largest oil exporter just by what we have.
Just what we
Alaska,
have. Well, hopefully we're heading in back in that direction.
Yeah, we hope so.
They're not, I doubt they're going to open all that up anytime soon.
But huge opportunity, but it's strategic for the country, for, the United States to hold Alaska and take advantage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, you make a downturn.
Yep.
At what point do you start looking at options?
Oh, it's almost kind of like one of those things where you go to dinner parties. It's I don't care if you live there and say you love it. We go to dinner parties and people would be talking about where they're going to go when they leave Alaska, right? It got so old hearing it all the time. And I'm like, why don't you just leave then? What's the big, if you're here, be here and enjoy it and
put up or shut up.
Yeah. Again, it's like, do something about it.
I feel the same way about a lot of people in our country, but anyway, right? That's probably another podcast.
Yeah. That's the other podcast.
Yeah. If it's that bad, get the F out.
Yeah.
Okay. But I could see, I don't know how harsh. I'm sure it's cold up there. I've been in Montana.
Yep.
When it's cold and it's cold.
It's not the cold though. It's the darkness.
Yeah.
The darkness is what gets you, because I'm telling you right now, and the reason why Florida, the Sunshine State, is so great is not because of the water, although the water is awesome. It's the sun. And you don't realize it until you've left. But I probably was the happiest guy in Fairbanks because I felt like I had to lift so many people up, because you get really ingrained in the community. You're really commiserating together. And I felt like our company was very involved in philanthropic efforts, and I was really woven into the fabric there. These were my people. This is my town, and I cared for them. And we put up, just like Setco does, man, which, by the way, thank you for everything you do for this community.
Of course.
I've long really valued our professional relationship, and I respect how you run Setco and how you give back to the community is what, it just reminds me of, that time in Fairbanks.
Yeah.
So I see what you guys do.
You guys are just the same, and we appreciate it. And it's part of what we're passionate about.
Yeah.
So if you build something up, allows you to do it.
Yep.
And I feel like it's, you have to give back to the community you're in.
That's right.
But to that point, you chose to go back there, right?
Yeah.
Would you have to you rolled out where you were there?
So when you roll out, you got a year for the government to pay for a move, right?
Okay.
So we had a year to kind of figure it out. And we just Laura and I looked at each other. We're like, are you done with this adventure? Like, the thought of going back to the lower 48, it was like,
okay, I guess that's one way to make a life decision.
What are we going to do? Live in a suburb, and time our day around traffic. And the whole thought of being normal was just we weren't ready for it. We're like,
well, it can't be that abnormal. You got a real estate firm up there. So it's like you're selling houses.
Yeah, it's a very austere environment.
But you had access to the wilderness pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. We were going on adventures all the time. And we would go do stuff on a weekend that people would pay a ton of money to go experience. And we were doing it all the time. And we're like, let's just keep doing it. So our agreement was, we'll keep doing this till it stops being fun, and then we'll write the next chapter. And
okay.
About 2 years prior to us leaving, it stopped being fun.
Was that the darkness and the lack of sun, the environment, or work?
Yeah.
Or maybe all the above?
All the above. You end up, you've got, when you're working with grumpy people all the time because of the darkness, it'll wear on you eventually, and that was kind of, I knew that there was better, maybe a better life for my family outside of Alaska. And it was just time to start there and expand from Alaska, because we had made the jump to Anchorage, North Pole, and we're in our headquarters in Fairbanks. And it was like, okay, how do I get down to Seattle? And we looked at that. We're just like, major muscle movement, man. So I knew that chapter of taking that nationally or expanding and being like a regional franchise the juice wasn't going to be worth the squeeze. Let's put it that way.
Got it.
So
You had an office in the North Pole?
we did.
That's pretty cool. So you had an office in the North Pole across from Santa.
It
It's pretty
literally
neat.
was a log home office with a candy cane striped sign out front, and Santa Claus was at our grand opening and helped me cut the ribbon. I'm not even joking.
Well, you're at the North Pole. I think that's totally appropriate.
when in the North Pole. Yeah, it was pretty
right.
surreal. But
So you're what's our time frame here? Like mid 2015 ish.
we started looking around 2015.
So how'd you decide what to do with your business?
Well, I had put together, so I was running my business like a business. And that was one thing too, is, I'm an MBA. I love the business. It's not like some of the things with real estate is kind of lost on me because I like the business of real estate.
Yeah.
I love that I could take an agent, find their superpower and build a business around them. And then this agent, I could build a business around that. And that's what I enjoy, is really taking advantage of people's innate God-given talents,
Yep.
right? And then building a business around that so that they can be in that like zone of genius more often than, like telling an agent like, hey, you got to get better at your CRM or following up your past clients or submitting your paperwork. It's never going to be a skill set for most agents. But, but
You
that's
said
why
that, not me, sir.
Yeah. Well, we all know it here. But really focusing on what they really are great at. But anyways, that's why I loved real estate. But when we're looking for where do we go next, and it'd be somewhere, when you sit down and have those talks and you're like, okay, well, let me back up. The company. So the company was sellable. We were profitable. We were running it, stewarding a very good business. I created what's called an ESOP.
Yeah.
Stock option program. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna allow my people to own this business. I'm gonna be the only employee owned real estate company at that time that I knew of. So I had that ESOP all kind of ready to go. Ended up getting a valuation from Steve Murray at Real Trends at the time. I don't know if you remember Real Trends.
I remember. Yeah,
they're still kind of out there. T360's kind of taken over as the leader, but like Real Trends, Steve did a evaluation. He goes, Wes, you're running one of the most productive real estate company I've ever valued in like 40 years. And he's like, and you're doing it with different people, because he saw my turnover. I was like, man, I had great people, and everyone bought in, and we built a system where someone can come in who's got the intangibles to be a great salesperson, and we can get them up and going and get them out serving clients really, really fast. And that's because of the environment. That's because of the market. That's just because of the environment that we were in. But fast forward, when we're looking at where we're going to go, Laura's got a spreadsheet, and, we're looking at everything on the West Coast, and we're even looking at some places in the Midwest and Texas possibly. And she's like, well, you're not adding anything. I was like, well, if nothing else mattered, I'd want to be in Destin, Florida. Well, I mean, it's like my happy place, man, because of the time that I was here.
I didn't know that. So you wanted, because of your time at Fort Rucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
I mean, I came down here and I'm like, all right, destination market on the water, average sale price probably at the time that I was looking at it. I mean, it looked like it was about $1 million or higher.
Yeah.
If I'm going to start over, that'd be where I would start.
Okay.
And I knew it really frustrated Laura, but then I got a call.
Why was she frustrated? Can we ask?
Just because I wasn't super committal to looking at anywhere else.
This is where I'm going.
I didn't have a lot of input, I guess. I don't know. She wasn't frustrated. It was just kind of like, is that all you got? I'm like, yeah, that's all I got. I mean, I think this one, you kind of need to let your heart lead a little bit. It's a big move.
I'm glad you stood your ground.
Well, yeah. Well, it wasn't too hard because when I did get a call, probably early 2017, I suspect. I think it was like February 2017. Bob Corcoran, I was coaching with Bob Corcoran. He was my real estate coach. He had also coached Blake Marar forever, and I'd known Blake and Chris for a while. Blake and I would talk like every couple times a year, we just rap about stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, what's working for you? What's not working? Just like we always do. And then Bob goes, well, what do you think about going down and run the brokerage for Chris and Blake down in Destin? I'm like, huh. I was just like, oh, that's funny. That's it's the only place I had on my list, kick it past Laura.
So did he call you out of the blue about it?
Well, he's coaching me, so he's listening to me, knowing that I want to get out of here. At the same time, he's talking to Chris and Blake on a coaching call.
They need an ops guy.
Man, we need an ops person.
Yeah.
Help with the business, and I'm an ops guy, so Bob Corcoran put it all together, man. And so Chris and Blake were adamant about getting me down here with the whole family, and they put us up in Chris's dad's place at the time on Spartina Circle in watercolor. And I give him 3 days, and that's when reality hit. I go, okay, I know it's the only place on my list, but it's 5,000 miles away. You know what I mean? So I'm like, you know what? We'll check it out. We'll swing through Nebraska on the way home, see some family, and we'll just call it a trip. And, maybe this isn't going to work out. No, we got here. I mean, we pulled into the Spartina Circle house. My kids run right through the house, go out back. I mean, mind you, we left 2 feet of snow and 20 below.
Yeah.
Okay. And this was this was in 2017. We had the whole place to ourselves. I mean, all of watercolor was basically vacant.
Yeah.
We're the only people there. My kids are running around crazy. I mean, there's they left soccer balls and stuff on the green space back behind in the middle of Spartina Circle. I mean, they're back there kicking balls around. They're throwing, they're like, oh my gosh, they are just having the time of their life. I meet up with Blake and his boys down at Bud and Alley's. The kids go play on the beach until sundown. We went home and woke up the next day before everyone else was up, and my kids are zonked out. They were so tired from playing so hard. I went on a run through the trails of watercolor, just kicking up deer and stuff. I came back, opened up the doors, and the birds are chirping. Mind you, 20 below, 2 feet of snow. Birds are chirping. Laura rolls over, and I'm like, what are we doing? This is freaking amazing. This could be every day. We got to figure out how to make this work. So called up Chris and Blake and Bob. At the time, Bob was living here. And so let's meet and figure out how we make this work.
Awesome.
Then it became.
So what'd you do with your business?
Yeah. So went back, obviously came up with a plan. And I said, all right, we're going to get everyone together and we're going to launch this ESOP. They're going to love it, right? They have to love it. So I get my leadership team together and I let them know, hey, we're leaving. And we're moving. I'm moving the family to Florida, and there's more to my oldest was dealing with seasonal affective disorder, which is a form of depression that you get from lack of sunlight. So we're already dealing with that. My parents, I had moved up there. They kind of said hey, we got to move south because they needed they needed hip replaced, and they had some medical needs that you just can't get very good care up there. So the writing was on the wall for my family, and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this for my family. Good news is I got a plan, and kind of laid it out to them. And then we launched it to the company, and it was an absolute sociology experiment.
Okay.
It went from, oh my gosh, this thing is falling apart to, Madden Real Estate's going down to this might be the greatest opportunity ever in my life. I mean, it was just mass chaos. I mean,
because you offer it to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone had a shot.
So they would have selected participation, but they would have ownership.
Yeah, I think what I found, what I realized at the point, and listen, you learn in life that your perspective is not necessarily someone else's perspective, and you got to work hard. And that's something that I've just learned over time is really be in the shoes of that person and kind of see how would I feel if Wes Madden at the time. I was a big name, man. It was, and that was also kind of there's too much celebrity. I'm not a celebrity guy. That part of real estate, is not necessarily enjoyable for me. I wanted to come down here where no one knew who the heck I was, because I was just, they were asking me to run for governor and stuff, dude. It was crazy because of all the marketing that we had been doing.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, it was.
Friends
Wes Madden
so
was
popular.
If you still go up there, and go to Fairbanks, ask
can I get your autograph when we're done?
No.
Okay.
No. I'll give it to you if you want. But it wasn't I didn't enjoy it. That's the thing.
No,
I wanted to I was kind of done with that stage, if you will. And so anyways, we ultimately ended up finding a great buyer for the company.
So I got to know, I've never asked you this. They blew up the ESOP or just you got too much pushback?
Yeah, too much pushback. Couldn't get buy-in from everybody.
Okay.
Which I'm like, okay, well, we got a sellable company. I got a valuation here. I mean, we're an open book company. I mean, my people knew.
Yeah.
I shared it with them and I said, listen, guys, we've built something special. You've built something special. This is yours. I want you to have it. And I thought it would have been great, but ultimately
I'm just curious because of and those out there that are listening to this, if you don't know what an ESOP is, Plymouth Stock Option Purchase, you get to basically the owner takes a loan out on the company to buy himself out or herself out, and then the company services the debt. So that's what you were doing. They didn't want the debt.
They didn't want the responsibility of. Ultimately, what it came down to is they saw how hard I worked, and it wasn't something that they wanted a piece of, quite honestly. Because there were stressful times. I mean, you have 40% of your workforce walk out the door, and it's like, oh, I got to replace these people. I mean, like I was a stress ball then too.
Yeah.
Trying to hold it all together. And they didn't want to shoulder that burden. They're like, we just want to show up and sell. We don't want to be looking at P&Ls and worry about like what we spend on marketing, what we don't spend on. And I don't blame them. I understand, I mean, I would have,
the agent, that's typically not going to be their wheelhouse.
No,
most.
I mean, people want to be an owner, but they don't want the burden of being an owner.
Yeah.
And what they knew was like in those slow times, I took out HELOCs on my house to make sure I've never missed a payroll as a boss ever. Yeah. And, when times got slow, my people got paid, and that was just, so they having them having seen what I had to go through to kind of keep that business thriving, I don't blame them at all. So
who'd you get to come in?
Ed and Dar Walden. So they were
who?
Ed and Dar Walden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Waldens were a team down in Anchorage. I'd known them for years. The acquisition of Madden Real Estate would have made them, it automatically overnight made them number one in Alaska. So they thought that was great. And it also gave them a footprint in Fairbanks, which they did not have at the time. So everything worked out. They were lovely people. Everything.
Did you have a brand associated with yours?
We were independent.
Okay.
Yeah. They were KW.
Got it.
And when they acquired, that flipped to a Keller Williams franchise.
Did you get, with their acquisition, did you get any flight from your current people?
Yeah. I mean, agents are never always happy. I mean, it's like you can never, and that's the thing, because they're all, you got to think about the makeup of an agent. They all have opinions, and and you're never going to make everyone happy. The best you can do is the best you could do for them, and lead with, and I felt good about Ed and Dar being able to lead them, and I was going to be available. So I stayed on as CEO the first year. That was part of my transition plan. I told Chris and Blake, I'm like, listen, 4:00 hits, I got to go in Alaska time. And so I was a geographical bachelor for 6 months when we finally did come down here, where I would work from the morning till about 4, and then I'd switch hats and I'd get on Zoom calls, and I would lead Alaska because they're 3 hours behind till like midnight. I'd wake up at 5 a.m. and do it all over again. That was my rhythm for about a year.
Ooh,
it was brutal.
Yeah.
But
did they take on your, because I mean, just knowing each other, and I'm sure we'll hit on it. You already have, like, you're very passionate about your culture. You built this culture. Did the new owners try and take that on?
They took it all on.
Okay.
They fell right
and continue
in on
it.
Yep. They fell right in on it. They adopted it. They carried it on as best they could. I flew up maybe 3 times. Cause that was one of the things, like, oh, well, I'll just fly up. Well, 13, 14 hour trip to get up there is a long ways, man. I mean, you're shot, so to do a week, it was just it was hard. I just said, let's just do this by Zoom. I mean, I don't want to have you guys spend the money on a plane ticket. 2, I can't waste. I'm just not at a point right here where I can waste, 15 hours flying or traveling or whatever. So we felt like we could get by with just, a trip if needed. But ultimately, they did great, man.
Okay.
And they're still going today, and they're slowly taking on like kind of a little bit different branding, which is good for them, start kind of getting the Madden thing out, because I still get Alaska phone calls on my phone.
Yeah. You're still a celebrity up there.
Yeah, still.
Wes Madden, Alaskan celebrity. All right, so you're here.
Yep.
You got dual roles out of the gate. Biggest challenges when you took over ops at Scenic?
Biggest challenges? I mean, I mean, I was seeing all the opportunities, man. I mean, I think the biggest challenge was the mindset of my people. So one of the things that I did was I was able to I looked up some of the key, I just asked Chris and Blake, like, who are the foundational agents that we have, and I reached out to a couple of them, had phone conversations, because I wanted to know, like, am I stepping into a culture disaster, or, what don't I know, basically. And it was a good set of people. I really liked everyone. I thought they were lovely. I thought they were really, really great. I felt like, based on the, maybe some of the challenges I had to overcome and did overcome at a pretty high level, I felt like we could implement some of those things here and get a pretty significant bump. But I think to your point, I was brought in here to grow the company, and with growth, and change in general, it's tough for people. So getting that mindset around, like, what does growth mean to you? What does that mean to, and so we had open discussions. Because one of the things that they loved was our boutique culture. And I'm like, well, let's talk about culture, and at the time I was like reading Jim Collins' Good to Great, and we talked about that a lot. And I just said, what is your fear if, because I told him, I said, we want to be, so our first strategic goal that first year in 2018 was to be a $1 billion sales company. Mm-hmm. Why? Because no one had ever done it. So we're like, well, let's be the first. You got to pick something really kind of close to you, something easily to understand, something for the agents to rally around. And I said, this means we have to affiliate with, at the time we were saying, like, our ideal goal was 75 agents. I think we were sitting at like 35 or 40 agents. So it's a pretty considerable increase in number of agents. Then you have to back explain that through our sub goals, which is operational excellence. We're going to be great operators. We're going to have systems and processes that are going to leverage you in your business, because we all have 24 hours in a day. We want you to spend the majority of that time prospecting, selling, and negotiating, right? Dollar productive activities. We're going to take everything else off you. The other thing we're going to do is increase our average agent production. So that's been from the get-go, that's been a goal for the company, was not only are we going to hit that $1 billion by bringing in great people that fit our culture, fit our ideal agent profile, but we're going to build your business too. Is that okay? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's okay. But bringing in the new people, scarcity mentality. Yeah. Getting over that whole, like, hey, we need to have abundance mentality. We've got enough. We're going to build a system. We had to build it first. So meeting with Will Mayberry, by the way, he's been with the company now 20 years. Love the guy, but Will is an absolute machine. And it was basically Will. I call him the center pivot guy, and he was serving all these agents. So he was the marketing director at the time. Yeah. Marketing, ops, IT support, everything. If you had a question,
the go-to everything guy.
Yeah. And being go to him for everything guy is, it'll wear you out. Yeah. And so I know that we needed to protect him because he was invaluable to the organization. We need to departmentalize our staff to support our agents better. So I had to break it to him that he is a linear thinker. He's one of the best ops minds that I know, and not necessarily marketing, right? And we wear some of these titles as an identity. And for Will, it was like, man, you are a brilliant ops guy, but marketing, we need to get a creative in that position. Mm-hmm. We need somebody that can, like, take that. And so once he kind of came to terms with that, the rest has been history. But we hired Adam Pfaff to lead marketing, creating a marketing agency within the company to support our agents. And that's where we picked up Tina Newell and Beth Hendricks. And these are all regional hires. I mean, and they're all with us today. All those original hires are, still with us. They just, in this game of business, man, it's all about people.
Oh yeah.
And,
for sure,
just bringing them in, creating positions and support, and then compensation that keeps them motivated to do what it is that they're here to do, that they love to do. And and the rest has been history. We hit the $1 billion mark. We eclipsed 2.3 billion during COVID. So we're really proud of that. And we've been top 10 in the United States for average agent production for the last 3 years running. So
I know that's been a big goal since you landed here. So
yeah,
congratulations.
So it's,
but you've also done that in also increasing your number of agents. Because you're over 100 now, right?
Yeah, we're somewhere at 110.
Okay. Yeah. Well, to be able to continue to increase that by also increasing your agents is a challenge too.
Well, and I think in that discussion, with the agents initially, when we were talking about moving from this boutique brokerage to more of like a more of like a business, where it's a brokerage that's ran like a business with agents where it got a little more formal. One of the thoughts, we just freely talk to the agents. I'm like, what are you afraid of? And they're like, well, we'll lose our culture. If we grow, we're going to lose our culture. And I'm like, is that a true statement? Let's ask ourselves, is that true? And the answer is not if you hire people that are actually, foundational culture agents, culture enhancers. That's what we really look for. Like, what is our culture? And so define the culture. So you got to kind of like get people talking, came up with we got an ideal agent profile of what we look for. We don't say yes to everybody, and we're okay with that, and we don't want to be the biggest, just the best.
I think part of why y'all accomplished this and just knowing our relationship, it's, did you have a leadership council at Madden Real Estate?
Yeah. Well, I actually stole that from Keller Williams. So,
well, I didn't. Yeah. I wasn't going to make you say that.
Well, we did. Yeah. We had a leadership team. But there was one thing. I mean, that was the thing is Keller Williams. There was, because we like to look at all the brands and just kind of figure out what works, right? One of the things that they do is they got a leadership council, and that's how it worked. And we said, let's do the same thing here, so that we have a steering committee of 7 elected agents that we bounce things out. If it impacts your business or the company, like you're going to be a part of, we want to hear from you. We want you to weigh in on that. And
I think KW does the same way, but I think the success of what y'all have done in the leadership council is because they're elected. Highlight that.
Yeah, we don't want to be authoritarian or anything like that.
Yeah, you're not appointing, all West people or whatever, however you want to look at it. But I think that's imperative. And correct me if I'm wrong, you can't serve, 2 terms or something? You have to roll off or something?
Yeah. No more than 2 consecutive terms.
So it's not like our, U.S. Senate and Congress where you could just stay there forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
We have term limits. See, again, we're nimble and we do what's right?
Yeah,
a little bit of culture, right? It's like, nope, you're out. We need new blood in here. So, but it's pretty cool. This is what's cool. This is when you're bringing the right people. When you hire somebody, you bring in an agent, and within 6 months, their peers elect them to serve on the leadership council. Yeah. That's when you're doing something right. And that's who we found
the right person.
Yeah. That's how it's one great agent at a time.
It's tough. And it's challenging in this market. Especially like, our side employees, you have admin, you throw one bad apple in there and it can spoil the whole cart.
It does.
So in hiring people, y'all have the same challenges we do in this area. It's tough.
It's tough.
All right, what's up the next 5 years for Scenic? And then we're going to talk cattle for a minute.
Yeah. Well, we are
cattle.
Yep. Bay County. We look at expansion to our east and west as an opportunity. Our agents have asked about it. I think they see that as being an opportunity. We do a survey every year. It's just a company assessment survey because we want to know what's in the minds of the agents, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you're like, oh my God, they still sometimes you look at it like, this is really good. I don't know where this person is, but it doesn't matter. But the main thing is we get a litmus. I'm able to keep the finger on the pulse of what the agents are thinking. Whether you agree with it or don't, doesn't matter. That's their perspective.
Yeah.
So what can we do to make sure that we're communicating to them so they have a perspective that's healthy, that is productive, and that keeps them doing what they're supposed to do, which is continue to grow within this firm. That's, and that's what we use Blueprint for. Blueprint's our strategic planning event. We have it on October 28th. Our entire company will go to Destin, and we'll get together, and we're hatching basically our business plans for next year. Okay. So that's one thing. We've just always done really great business planning with agents because, again, I look at this as we are partnering in business with you if you come work here, which means we got to have business plans that all need to be aligned with the company's plans. And we're going to continue to do that. But Pensacola's, we're going to be opening an office here probably before the end of the year. Great opportunity, great market, a lot of synergies between there and here.
Mm-hmm.
And, industry-wise, I don't think anyone's got a crystal ball 5 years from now, but there's definitely some, we feel like we've got some great tailwinds here with where we stand. We're really an exceptional company within an exceptional brand, and we like being there, and, and slow, steady growth, man, but yeah, we got some big agents that are making the move over that we're really excited about that I'm sure
I'll hear about somewhere along the way.
Oh, you will.
Well, being a strategic partner, I compliment you guys because we also work with, we work with everybody pretty much on the panhandle, whether they're driving business. Of course, we want you to use Setco Services, but there's a lot of them out there that don't do anything like you guys as far as your leadership and, telling people what the company's doing and helping them create business plans. I think Keller Williams does a great job in real estate training, but then they pretty much throw you to the wolves.
Yeah.
And, there's others, all kinds in between, but you guys seem to be, as far as developing your agents, like you started out doing at Madden Real Estate. You talked about, it's intriguing. I've never heard you say that about you had to figure out, because, you may have a military wife that's only there for 3 years, train them up quick, make them efficient, and get them selling shit quickly.
Yep.
So they can make some money. That's how you do it, Abby. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Now I got to talk about 9 Line Farms.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I just, for those of you out there, I purchased, I don't know what I purchased, but it was, several ribeyes, fillets. I think it was maybe a quarter of some New York strips. And your beautiful wife told me that this was special, and it was freaking fabulous. That the last one y'all did, I don't know what you gave that cow, but it was tasty.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So tell us about your project, please, because I think it's intriguing that you picked this up.
Yeah, it's life changing. Full blood Wagyu. Yeah, we've got 495 acres up in Bonifay, Florida, raising 100% full blood Wagyu.
Will you explain that a little bit?
Yeah.
I think you have to me just because where you got them and how they got here.
Yeah, there's so the USDA likes to make the branding of things in our food system very confusing for consumers. So we spend a lot of time educating people. So 100% full blood Wagyu. If it doesn't say 100% full blood Wagyu, it's crossed with something.
Yeah.
Okay. And it could be one of multiple breeds of quote Wagyu. And in fact, if you buy commercially raised Wagyu from the supermarket, it's probably what's called Akaushi, which is the red Wagyu. It's not the Japanese black. So when people talk about A5 Wagyu out of Japan, it's the Japanese black. That's the Tajima influenced Wagyu that has this, and what makes the animal special is it's got the ability to convert saturated fat to monounsaturated fat, and the fatty acid profile is some of the healthiest on earth. So, and we'll get into the health benefits of that, but so that's the main thing with Wagyu. So these are our animals have never been crossed with any other breed. All the meat that we sell, we have to actually do DNA samples. We're dual registered with the Australian and American Wagyu associations. And we actually, if you buy like a quarter or a half or a full animal, we'll actually send you the certificate of the pedigree of that animal, and you can trace it back. I mean, you could trace all of our animals back to the initial importations from Japan.
This is where I interjected myself when we talked about this, and I don't want to know the name of the cow, but I appreciate the,
you wouldn't be able to pronounce it anyways, so, it actually works out.
Yeah.
So we just, again, we lived 17 years in Alaska, man, and we mostly subsisted on, moose. We always got a moose every year. Split that amongst a couple families. We'll get a couple caribou. Might be lucky enough to get adult sheep. Lots of salmon. So we would go subsistence fish salmon. We actually go down with nets and literally go catch 500 sockeye salmon, and we would smoke them. We would can them. We would preserve it, and that's what we would eat all year round. I never bought meat. So for my entire
So you're harvesting all this yourself?
All ourselves. And
Okay.
I felt great. I was in great shape. We were very healthy because I'm eating sockeye salmon and Yukon King salmon and halibut. I'm eating good food.
Yeah.
And obviously a big meat eater. Work out all the time, And then I moved down here and we started buying store-bought meat. And that's when I knew something was drastically different. I just didn't feel good. I'm pretty in tune with my body, and we were just not feeling good on the stuff that we were buying. So we started looking elsewhere. I had some friends come down from Bend, Oregon, and they brought some meat with them. Well, I had one bite of this meat, and I'm like, what am I eating? I felt amazing. I was eating keto at the time, so keto makes you very perceptive to high-quality fat sources.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're keto and you eat something like this fatty acid profile that's full of oleic acid, I mean, it is like a ketone rush to your brain. I felt like I just did an 8-ball of Coke or something like that.
All right.
I'm just like, whoa, I feel good.
Got to get my
Not that
hands
I
on
ever
some
have.
of this beef.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm asking them, I'm going what am I eating? And then that's where, the Bomas, Brian and Rainey Boma, who owned Two Sisters Ranch in Bend, Oregon. They're like, oh yeah, well, this is why it's healthy for you, and started explaining. I was like, tell me more. And I started just like geeking out on it, and I was buying some meat from them, and then all of a sudden they called me up during COVID, and we're like, hey, we're moving to Florida. We need to get the heck out of Oregon. It's crazy up here. And I was like, that's okay. Oh, and by the way, you're moving our two daughters, and you're moving our 3 friends. So it's like this mass exodus of Oregonians moving to Florida, mostly because of COVID. And I just asked them, well, what are you doing with your herd and your cattle operation? They've been building this thing for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know, we'll just do a disbursement sale and sell it all off. Well, I had just closed on the refinance on my Alaska business at that time. And I got this like money, I had cash come in from that. And I go, well, I need to reinvest it into something. I was like, and at the time I was sitting on a couple hundred acres in Boniface. So I was like, well, I'll just buy half your herd. I love this animal. I've fallen in love with full-blood Wagyu. I'm addicted, man. And
it's good. I can attest.
And plus, I was feeling like crap. And then I got an endless supply of good food for my family, at a very minimum. Then I could share that with others. And fast forward, it all worked out. We're on year 5 now. We're up to 180 head.
But did you ever intend, because with the story you just described made it sound like it was for just you and your family. Did you ever intend to commercialize it, or at what point did the bleeding have to stop and you needed to sell some meat?
Yeah. That's a great question.
I know a farm can be very expensive.
Yeah, we hit this point where we looked at each other and I said, listen, one of 2 things either needs to happen. Either A, we need to pull this down to a hobby farm, because I got to pay somebody to be a full-time ranch manager up there. And by the way, that person is a really hard. You want to talk about hard, finding an employee that's hard. That position is extremely difficult.
Well, there's not a lot of ranches here. Not operating ranches.
But you can get them. You can get them coming in. You got to pay though, right? So now we got this payroll. Yeah. And you got to put them up. They so they need housing. So we had to secure housing for them, and we went through a couple. And I got my day job. I'm focused here. You're bringing a bunch of drama on me, or you're not taking care of the animals, which require a very intense amount of husbandry on these animals. They need clean water. They need the right. I could geek out on how they need to be cared for, but it's a lot of work. It is not easy, and so that's why I encourage most people, if they do buy the meat, you need to come up and see what goes into producing this final product, because it's way more than a traditional cattleman's used to dealing with, because traditional cattlemen, if they're on a seed stock program, or if they got a stocker program, they got like 500 yearling calves. They background them and they take them to sale barn and sell them off, and that's the last they ever see. They're not taking these animals through its life cycle.
Right.
It's very intense. So we're completely vertically integrated up to the point of processing. That's another pinch point, but that's how we're able to achieve like the steaks that you had. Those were like probably A4 grade, BMS 10 to BMS 8 to 10 on an Australian scale. These are 35 to 40% IMF, intermuscular fat percentage, of that good healthy fat, and it's just kind of changing the way people eat beef. Because
yes,
I just said. That's another thing too, is people look and they'll go like, geez, the ribeye, $70. I'm like, okay, but just know you're not eating a 16-ounce ribeye by yourself.
Yeah. I was going to say, you could look at my ass and I can only eat half.
Yeah.
So, I'm a big boy and I eat steak. So
yeah, we take the
but
meat.
You can't, because it's so good. You only, but because of the fat content and everything else, it's rich. Mm-hmm. It's delicious, but you can't eat the whole thing.
So you're going to get satiated faster. You are going to feel full. You're not going to need to consume more, which means your digestive system isn't overloaded with all this red meat, and you're going to feel better the next day. Plus your body's getting, I think it's because of all the, salmon I used to eat, but omega-3s and oleic acid, like my body craves that, it helps with your joints, inflammation. Mm-hmm. Just cooking. I tell people, like, when they're on their health journey and they're reaching out to us, I'm like, just stop eating seed oils, like actually read labels and look, it's in everything, avoid it all, and just start cooking everything in this tallow. We render the tallow down, cook everything in the tallow, and eat Wagyu, like twist my arm. It's so hard. It's delicious. That's the big thing. Like, healthy food doesn't need to suck. It can taste amazing.
I'll give a plug to also some of the best beef jerky out there.
Yeah.
Nine Line Farms. I've consumed it a lot.
Yeah.
So where can they find you on the Nine Line stuff? Yeah,
9linewagyu.com. That's number 9, linewagyu.com. Instagram, Facebook. We, all orders kind of go through there. We do have a partnership with Coastal Rancher, which is behind Stock and Trade. So you can go there. They're great. Kim and Mitch are bringing locally sourced produce, raw milk, eggs, produce, and our meat is featured there. So a lot of times, if you're in a hurry or whatever, you need to drop in. You can pop in there and get our meat there as well.
Yep, I went another last week. It's a cool little spot.
It's a cool spot.
So real quick, we're in a big rush, but the 9 Line. That's a helicopter term, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Well, what is that? What is it?
Well, we kind of brought in the military experience, back into what we're doing, because we really felt like so a 9 Line medevac request is 911 on the battlefield. So if you're out there and someone gets hurt, you would take the radio and you would send what's called a 9 Line medevac request, and that becomes the mission. So when my radio goes off and I run up to the tactical operations center and I receive the mission, it's 9 lines of information that I need for me and my crew to launch and go help this the patient or patients. So we felt like our food system's broken. I could pontificate about our ag system is broken. And we're just doing something about it, people. This has not been financially, enjoyable for us, but we believe it is
tactful, Wes.
Yeah, we believe it is a cause worth fighting. And so the meat program provides the base, because each one of those carcasses that goes through, we get carcass imaging, and that carcass imaging, then we upload into the Australian breed plan database, and that proofs out our genetics, because we got some of the best genetics in the world right here in Bonifay, Florida. I've got 2 bulls that are top 1% in the world for marbling. We're sitting on a genetic breed right now. Our herd right now is, it's pretty amazing, and nothing happens quick. And this is what's been really good for me is I'm used to being in real estate and be able to make things happen right away. Well, in farming and ranching, nothing happens quickly. Yep. Everything, if I put seed in the ground, I got to wait 21 days for it to germinate. I drop a calf on the ground, I got to wait 30 months till till a steer calf's ready to be processed. Everything's a waiting game. So it's been good to kind of slow my roll a little bit and really kind of understand that great things come, sometimes by waiting and letting the process take. There is no way to speed up the process to deliver the meat like what we deliver to you. It is a slow, deliberate process. And let's face it, the Japanese perfect everything they do, and full blood Wagyu is no different. So I would just encourage people. And we do talk to some people that go well, I buy this meat from here. I know Snake River Farms is a big Wagyu seller or whatever. And definitely if you're buying meat from somewhere and you think it's good, just call me and we'll just have a discussion about it. Snake River is going to be 50-50. That's American Wagyu. So if you see American Wagyu or Australian Wagyu, that's a 50-50 cross, because they can finish them out in 22 to 24 months. We have to take full bloods all the way to 28, 30 months. So it just takes longer. You're curating.
Why is that? What is the timeline?
Well,
are they drinking beer? Are you massaging them longer or what?
Stress free.
Yeah, stress free.
You got to keep it stress free. You got to keep it to where it's stress. And the reason why they feed them beer, number one, that's carbs. But it's also to keep them stress free. So if you
that's the logic behind it. I didn't think about that part of it.
Yeah, massaging it, giving them baths.
Okay.
Yeah,
they massage the cows. What are you laughing at? That's what they do with Japanese Kobe. But I never thought about just getting them drunk to relax them.
We know all their names. Yeah, the mamas. It's all just low stress. If you go to where the fats are, we got fans on them. We're playing music. It's just keep it stressed, because they produce 30% more cortisol than the average English breed, and that'll diminish that marbling, that heart healthy marbling.
All right. What kind of music do the cows listen to?
96.9, the legend.
Okay.
It's like classic country.
Classic.
Yeah.
They like country. All right. Makes sense.
They like country.
Makes sense. They're in Bonifay. All right.
No, we get neighbors complaining if we had classical music, I think.
Okay.
So, no one complains about.
Well, 9 Line Farms, Wes, thank you for being here. Thank you for all you do for the community. And I'm glad we got to meet years ago. Yeah. And you've been a rock star for the guys at Scenic, and a good partner to us. So I appreciate you coming on here, buddy.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Bye, y'all.